Y'all ready for this tea?
I live my life to the fullest. Party every chance I get. Friday nights, the spot is the place I hit. Decked out, chest out. Me and my girls roll up in the spot like we own the world. You should see the eyes on me. Dress fitting like a prize on me. High split, fellas get the.
Hey beautiful, how you doing today? Welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time. Hi, I'm Lucky, and today we're going to be talking about my most recent video post. It was Cam speaking from the inside of prison about a current situation he has been going through, and it is frustrating because it definitely seems like it's always one thing after another. But I want to speak on this, one, to just give you guys the inside scoop about what is going on, and then two, also to just sort of expose this facility. It's one thing to be making videos about prison and just speaking in like a general sense. Oh, in prison it's like this, in prison it's like that. I'm not the only person that's doing this. Obviously, there's a couple of different channels that speak on prison, and they are speaking from inside actual experience, personal experience from the inside, what it was like when they were locked up. I'm doing the same. But then it's another thing when you actually have a tangible example, like an actual place that you can showcase this supports all the videos that I'm making. And I don't even usually talk about this type of craziness. Mainly what I like to speak on is the homosexual aspect of being locked up in prison, how gay people and transgender people are actually treated, how men interact with the queens, is what I say, the gay men and the transgender females, what it actually is like for real inside of prison. But there's a whole nother side in terms of mistreatment and abuse from the administration, targeting, harassment, discrimination, just outright literal abuse. This facility, Lawrenceville Correctional Center, it is a definitely terrible place. For one, it's a privatized prison, meaning that a company owns this facility. Why would a company want to own a prison other than to make money? So they benefit from people being locked up, not leaving, from filling up that space. They get money for it. They actually are paid, I think it's $50 per person per day to be housed at this facility. And then what makes it even worse about a private facility is that they don't have to abide by state regulations in the same manner as state facilities. State facilities, it is mandatory that there's certain things like the code of building maintenance, such as the plumbing for the water, the electrical equipment, just standard codes, the food and safety standards. There are certain things that state facilities, they are regularly checked up on because it's state owned. Private facilities, even though they have to abide, but at the same time it's a private facility, so it's worse conditions. Actually, they're able to pay the staff less, the COs. That's why there's such a high turnaround. COs are constantly, I saw it while I was in there, it's still been the same since I've been gone. When I hear from Cam, the COs are constantly turned around. Like they are always short staffed, always, all the time. But then also just the standard of living inside of that prison is awful. The water is like brown sometimes, and that's when they're allegedly working on it, and you just can't drink the water, you can't shower. Sometimes you literally can't shower because there is no water, or it's all cold water. Like they say psychotics take cold showers. There have been times even when I was in there I had to take a cold shower, or it'd be like extremely hot. Same goes for the food portions, or how they dictate what is being served at different places, such as the whole, I guess for punishment, further punishment, they shorten the portions even smaller than what it already is, but they shorten it when you're in the hole. I remember from when I was back there, as well as they serve out the same stuff. They'll give beans for 3 nights in a row, maybe even 4 nights, or every night for dinner. And every day for lunch, they're just giving bag lunches of peanut butter and jelly or bologna with no mayonnaise packet, no ketchup packet, or anything like that. It's really terrible. And, there's been a lot of suicides that have happened at this facility from multiple different things, such as inhumane type of living conditions, and also as well from abuse from the staff, which is what I'm trying to get into with this video, specifically talking about Cam and how they have gone after him over and over and over and over again. And the more that I've even tried to help, then they've started to try to keep us from communicating, cutting off the phones. I'm off probation, which is why I never spoke on this before. But now that I'm off probation, I will definitely speak on this. When I was on probation, there was 2 times that they actually contacted my probation officer trying to have her violate me and lock me up just to keep me from not necessarily communicating with Cam, but they were trying to keep me from helping him because I would call up there, or I've sent letters to the Department of Corrections complaining about the treatment, the mistreatment that, he was dealing with. Cam had been charge free for 7 years, and in the last year, he has received 6 charges. 6 charges. Explain that to me. And I can go into detail on each incident, what was going on. When I was locked up, there is a queen that had been on this compound, I think for like the last 10 years. And since I've been out, it's 2 more years. So like the last 12 years, this queen has been on this compound. A child, she's locked up. He is locked up for child pornography and like pedophilia. So disgusting stuff, okay? But this inmate has somehow been able to weasel their way into like administrative functions. They actually run a lot of the compound. They're the one that people go to when they need the light bulb fixed, changed, or something like that. The toilet has an issue. The paint in the cell is like chipping and it's looking terrible, and they need to get it repainted, or just different things. They worked closely. This queen, this inmate, worked closely with the safety officer and with the chief of security, I believe. And the building that they were in, that unit manager, in my Prison Diaries, when I used to read my Prison Diaries, I referred to this unit manager as Mr. Shady, and he definitely was shady. There was rumors around the compound that Mr. Shady, he liked to fool around with the queens, that he was very flirty, and, if something seemed to be able to happen, if there was a connection that seemed like it was possible, he would fool around with the queens. This queen, as I would hear different things, and I would talk to the girls on the yard and stuff and try to get, the scoop on who's what and what's true, what's not true, or something like that, like what people are saying. This queen confirmed for me that, yeah, Mr. Shady does like to fool around, and they know personally from personal experience. And that was all that they left it at. And I thought that was interesting, I guess, to say the least. But Cam ended up moving in the cell with this queen, and for those of y'all that think that something crazy was going on, I can't change your mind, but I know differently, because I do know Cam, regardless of how y'all think that I don't. I know that we have had our issues, but we've covered it. Like we've gotten to the bottom of what all of that stuff was about. And frankly, I shouldn't have posted a video so quickly when I didn't actually know the facts. I didn't know the whole story. I just had misinterpreted a lot of different things. And for the things that I didn't misinterpret and that he did do wrong, I understand now where he was coming from with the things that he kept from me. But still in all, prior to that, for a year and a half, we were together every day. And then for all of 2019, when I got out, we spoke all day long, literally from when I woke up to when I went to sleep. We spoke every day. And also I knew this queen, and I knew that this queen, just like everybody in prison, they got their stuff with them, but at the same time, they were focused on very specific things, and they had been doing time for a long time, so they liked to handle things in a very specific way. I'll just say it like that, like no drama type of thing, like no drama. But what I think is, over time, personally, I think, let's just say something happened between Cam and this queen. Let's just say it. Something happened between Cam and this queen. But he never left me. Like, he still called me all day long. And queens, they don't share their men. I mean, who does? So let's just say something happened between them. And meanwhile, Cam is still calling me all day. I'm talking about like 28 phone calls a day. That was just our life, all of 2019. I think that either they got jealous because something did happen. I really don't actually think this, but I'm really saying it for y'all because I know that that's what you think. But I think that either something did happen between them, and the jealousy of not cutting me loose drove this queen to what they did, or I think that because nothing happened between them, and Cam was still just staying loyal to me, which is what I do actually think. I don't think Cam is perfect. I definitely do have my suspicions with different things about him. But at the end of the day, I do trust the connection that we have. I'll just leave it like that. But eventually, what this queen did is got officers to bum rush Cam and plant tobacco on him and charge him with it when they had no actual right or reason to charge Cam with the tobacco. It wasn't on him. When you charge somebody with something, it has to actually be on the person, is what they call it, on the person. It was in the cell. Cam didn't even know that it was there. Was he lying? I don't know. But nevertheless, the part that I'm getting at with Mr. Shady is with knowing that this queen and him potentially had something going on. This unit managers are just sticking to their building. You don't see them all over the compound. You see them if you work in the kitchen, you see them when they go get chow, you see them when they're going to the building or when they're leaving out the building. You don't see them everywhere on the compound. This unit manager followed Cam from he was at 30 building, and then he got sick with COVID, and they moved everybody from COVID into the gym. That's a whole nother story, but there's a video that he had made talking about how terrible, they were treating the COVID sick inmates. But this unit manager then started popping up at the gym after Cam was there. Cam got moved to 40 building. This unit manager was then at 40 building. It would be coming in all the time and, making them lock down and do all these, just barking all these crazy orders. Always had his eye out for Cam. And then every time that Cam's been when Cam got moved to the 70 building, the unit manager was there. And then when Cam has been in the hole, the unit manager has been there. Like, it's just outrageous. But there's other just evil things that they do. Because then they tried to say that Cam was attempting escape. They had no camera footage. They had no records of this. Even the time that they were saying that he did it, Cam was actually in medical because while he was sick with COVID, he was in medical and then moved to the gym. In the gym, they had them securely locked. There was like zones, red zones and a green zone, and they weren't even allowed out the building. They were practically quarantined. How did Cam get out of the gym? But then to make it even better, as Cam was zeroing in on this, the time that they said that he was trying to escape, he was trying to pull the camera. Like, it's like, okay, we'll pull that camera. But when Cam checked the charge time that they had, he was actually in medical. So then he was trying to request that they have those medical records to show the time that when Cam signed in to go to medical. They wouldn't admit that into the hearing, the court hearing. And then also he even was he had subpoenaed the officer who was working on that day to show, because the officer, they do rounds, they do counts and all of these things. Cam probably was talking to the officer or something like that. He had known him, but they wouldn't let the officer in. But still in all, Cam was able to beat that charge on some technicality. I can't quite remember what it was. I like to believe that it also had something to do with my video that I posted and the complaints that I was writing and stuff. But I mean, it's crazy. But do you know who was behind that charge? Mr. Shady. Mr. Shady was the one who said that he had heard an informant complaint saying that he had seen Cam trying to hop the fence and escape out and stuff like that. It's like, and they just, now why he's in the hole, after giving you all that backstory about just the bullshit. And there's a lot more I could even go into in terms of just like the consistent harassment and targeting that has gone on. But now Cam was going to chow. There was an officer he was cool with that gave him an extra tray as he was going through the chow line. So he had 2 trays while he was going through the chow line. I told you about my prison sugar daddy. I used to get extra trays. There's people, that they get extra trays. Either the CO is cool with them, or maybe they hop the line or something like that. But it isn't like crazy that happens. At state facilities, they do definitely be on top of stuff, a lot more stuff than, again, at private facilities. But the private facility, it wasn't shocking that happened. And it was an officer who gave it to him. This other officer who was cool with Mr. Shady sees that and tells Cam to put it back. And Cam, he shouldn't have did this, but he just kind of was like, mind your business. Like, the CO gave it to me. Like, what's it to you? And the CO felt offended by that. When Cam came back to the pod, he did tell me, he was like, I think I'm going to receive a charge because I know this officer, and this officer always be extra, doing the most and stuff like that. And, we had exchanged words and stuff, and I was upset about it. But then sure enough, they didn't even charge him. Cam has not received a charge. That officer went and spoke to the lieutenant. The lieutenant went and talked to the captain, and they locked Cam up, and now they're just holding him back there. And also recently he had an annual review. Every year you meet with the counselor, and they basically just go over your security points to see if you're in for a transfer. They ask you if you do want to transfer, so that way they can put it in, whatever. Like, go over your release, like, requirements. For me, when I had my annuals, they would tell me, like, you need to take reentry. He had his annual, and the counselor tells him, you are being moved back to a higher level. And Cam's like, why? Because I've only had, even though he's been charged several times, he's only had like a few stupid charges. They had lost his while he was in the hole, they had lost his laundry bag, and he was upset about it, and he got the argument with the officer, and they wrote him up for that. It's just crazy stuff. And they do stuff like that all the time. It's not just Cam, because I know me, I'm just concerned about Cam. That's all I want to talk about, and I'm concerned about. But they do it to everybody. That if you don't have some type of connection to the administration, you are getting fucked by them, like, constantly. Just today, Cam was telling me a story, and he said he wants to make a video to, like, really go in on this story. There's somebody that they were back in the hole out of safety concerns because that dude had gotten jumped by like 3 Bloods gang members. And the guy was eventually complaining, like, as he was back there, he's realizing, like, why am I back in the hole? They should be in the hole and stuff like that. First of all, when it was happening, there was COs up in the booth, and he said that he had seen the COs standing by the window just watching him getting beat up by these 3 gang members. They didn't do nothing. And then after I guess it was done, they took him to the hole to like take him out of the pod. They didn't lock up the gang members. And then now after the guy started complaining about like, why am I locked up? Why am I back here and everything? You know, let me out. They let him out. But where did they put him? Back in the pod with the main dude who had put out the hit to get that guy jumped. Shady stuff. Like, it's crazy. This is the real prison, you know. It's like, it's just so messed up, and this is why I just desperately want to get Cam out, and I always feel so helpless. Like, there's just a lot about everything that you guys just don't know. But I definitely wanted to clear up this recent story about why Cam came up here sharing, you know, what's going on with him. I live near a train, so I apologize. But if you have seen that video, sending the link of that video to the news anchor lady and to the senator would be greatly appreciated, because that senator is actually the one who is spearheading shutting down private prisons. He's really put a lot of attention onto it, and he's trying to get it closed. And then that news anchor lady, she profiles like the Virginia prison systems all the time. She's kind of like the main one who's always, you can go check her out actually on WRIC. It's a news station. Any like prison related topics, whether it's Lawrenceville or something else, she's usually the one that's always covering it. And that's why I picked those 2 people to email. And, you know, the more people that email them, the more that they actually will pay attention to this. It's just so upsetting. And I just realized I didn't cover how they tried to violate me twice. The first time, get this is the craziest thing. The first time was because when people started getting sick in prison, I don't know if you remember last year when the pandemic had really started, and everybody was so concerned about us out here getting sick and all of the new cases and stuff. Then inmates started catching it, and it would spread so fast because of the close contact in that environment, you know. And people started to be concerned about their families and their loved ones that are locked up, catching it and getting sick and dying and stuff like that. They started this early release program for inmates to come home to their families. But I didn't realize there was like certain requirements. I did look it up, and it had said that anybody could be considered, but they are prioritizing people who have like a year or less time to get them out early. As far as like violent offenses like armed robberies and things like that go, they were lower on the list. On the bottom of the list is, of course, like the murderers and the rapers and the child molesters, which is frankly where it should be, at the bottom of the list. But Cam's not any of those things, okay? So he did have a chance, and, you know, they would get to whoever they can, one person at a time. I had wrote a heartfelt letter to everybody who oversees that, as well as like the governor and stuff like that, like pleading, you know, about Cam's case, that he was sentenced as a juvenile. His sentence was harshly given because of his juvenile record, and there was no actual written explanation as to why he was sentenced double the amount of time outside of his guidelines. Like, not like his guidelines were high regardless because of the crime, but then the same amount of time, his high point, 20 years, that's the high guideline, he was sentenced twice that outside of his guidelines. Like, they don't do that. They usually sentence you within your guidelines. And if they do go outside your guidelines, there's like an explanation. It's in the law that there must be a written explanation as to why the person is being sentenced outside of their guidelines. And when they do, they don't do it like that. They don't sentence it way outside like that. They sentenced him practically double the time, 40 years, 20 years outside his guidelines. There's no explanation. And his co-defendants, because Cam's crime wasn't committed by himself, he had 2 or 3 other people with him with this robbery, all teenagers, all juveniles. They all received 12, 15, I think the highest one was 18 years. Cam got all this time, and it was purely because the judge had known him from Cam being in and out of the juvenile system, and the judge told him, I'm gonna slam the book at you next time I freaking see you, you're behind. And when he saw him then for this charge, which was worse than anything he had committed before, he said, I'm going to give you so much time that when you come out, you'll be too old to even think about committing another crime. And Cam says all the time with like a sense of humor, but it's not funny. He's like, well, I'm too old. I've done my time. Like, you know, his co-defendants are already out. Cam's the only one still in there all this time. And he's the perfect candidate for a clemency, a pardon. And there's an attorney who specializes in this, but he's very expensive, $15,000. I don't have $15,000, but we did call the attorney, and the attorney wants to take Cam's case. He said that he's the perfect candidate because he admits responsibility. He was sentenced as a juvenile. He served time, and he's been productive with his time. And this attorney has gotten people out. That's why I say, like, I can get Cam out. I just need to get up the money, and it's just very stressful. But anyway, I sent an email with my most heartfelt plea for Cam to have early release, and to illustrate like support for Cam to have a second chance. I just went through my contacts and said, these are all who are in support of me as well as Cam. And I just wrote all my contacts. I should have not included my probation officer, but if I did, I should have asked her ahead of time. Just so this way, I think she would have said yeah. I think if I had like asked her, like told her I was doing this and just been like, is it okay that I put your name? She probably would have been like, okay, maybe, I don't know. Or she would have said no. But regardless, at least if I had asked her and then they went and did this, she would have reacted differently. I think she would have been offended that they were trying to imply that she is doing something shady, that she's involved, like as if she's a criminal just because her name was attached to my email. She's my probation officer, and probation officers technically want to see the people do well. They want them to do what they're supposed to, get off probation, follow the rules and the guidelines and the requirements, and there you go. Like, they tell you all the time that they're trying to be a support system, and that's how I viewed it. I viewed my probation as a support system, and I think that that's what got me doing well, and that's what got me off probation, because I did not see the probation as the enemy, as like against me. I did see them as like a source of structure, and hopefully support. And she was the best probation officer I've ever had. And frankly, when we first met, I do think that she kind of was like, looking at me sideways. I don't know, maybe. But, over time, she really could see that I was doing my best. I was trying. And she became a source of support. So when they contacted her, I sent this email with my heartfelt plea to get my baby out of prison because he could die from COVID. They take that email, Lawrenceville, and they use that as a way to imply that me and this probation officer got some shady dealings going on, because why would she be listed as a supporter at a convict? Can you believe that? And they actually wanted her to lock me up. So she calls me to see what the heck this is about, and I explained it to her, just like I explained it to you. And I actually ended up crying on the phone because I couldn't believe this. Like, I want to actually read the email to you guys, or maybe I'll post it on the community tab. That email was truthfully from my heart. I was really speaking out of fear and worry that something terrible would happen to Cam before he's able to get a second chance. And Cam's greatest fear is not coming home. And it's mine, frankly, to tell you the truth. Like, I want him to come home. Even if it's not with me, y'all, like, even if it is not with me, I want Cam to have the second chance at life he really deserves. He had a life stolen from him at 6 years old, and it's just been stolen ever since. And I think for that year and a half that we were in the cell together, for the first time it was given back to him. I would try to do so much to just love him and open his eyes to life in a way that he's never even known it exists, you know? And it's changed him, and it's changed me, for real. Whether y'all see it or not, it don't really matter, to tell you the truth. It don't matter whether you see it or not. It's the truth. It's the truth. Now, that was the first time that they tried to violate me. The second time was recently, when I posted that video when I got that job interview at Lawrenceville. I thought that they knew exactly who I am because of all this that I'm telling you, my complaints and all of these things. They know who I am. They know about Cam and me. I thought that and I know that they watch this channel from time to time. I thought they're probably watching this video. I thought that y'all knew who I was because y'all all up in Cam's business, my business. Y'all just so freaking obsessed with him and me. Meanwhile, y'all got people up in there that are raping people. Y'all got gang members. Y'all got people that are screwing y'all's staff, literally popping off with the COs. You got COs smuggling shit up in there. You got all this corruption that is going on at Lawrenceville, but you guys cannot stop pulling your attention away from Cam and me. And it's like, for what? For what? For what? Like, for what? But nevertheless, so I thought that they knew who I was, and that's why they even extended the interview. I go down to interview, and I made a video where I talked about what had happened. And I actually thought, again, that it was a good moment, you know? Like, I was able to show that I'm trying to rebuild my life. I had thought that this was an opportunity. And frankly, he's now the assistant warden, he actually did, like, see me. He actually saw me. Of course, he was black. From one black dude to another, he actually saw that I'm serious. I wasn't trying to do nothing except just see if this was a opportunity for me, and maybe even for them, you know, maybe even for them. But this lady, this white lady, no shade to bring in races, and I apologize for even doing it, but this lady, who I've never even seen before, knew exactly who I was, and she butts herself into the interview, and then she also escorts me out. She escorted me out like as if I was a convict set loose, like I really need to be being escorted to my cell, and it's just made her so uncomfortable that I was here free. You know what I'm saying? That's literally the way that she walked me out. She even made a comment. I was locked up for 3.5 years. I've been out for 2 years. And she said something about, yeah, because you was just here. And I was like, well, actually, it was 2 years ago. And she was like, that's not that long, sweetheart. But she goes back, and she did say while I was in the interview, she said that she checked the system and saw that I'm still on probation. And I was like, oh, really? I didn't know, because I haven't had to go to any meetings. It's probably because I still need to pay my court. I've been paying all my court fines every month. I pay like as much as I can every single month on my court fines, but it's not paid off. And I thought that that's why maybe it's still showing. But I learned that that wasn't why it was still showing. I actually was still on probation. I needed to receive a letter that was finalized saying that I'm actually off, and I received it. I'm off. She, again, now Lawrenceville, I don't know if it's her specifically, but I'm pretty sure it was her, or just Lawrenceville in general, again, contacts my probation officer to try to get me locked up by saying that I was out of jurisdiction with my locations that I shouldn't be at. Like, I'm not allowed to be there. And I went to Lawrenceville trying to infiltrate, trying to get in there just so I can be with Cam and, probably smuggle stuff. When they got there, people that smuggle shit, I swear on everything. I don't even think that some of y'all believe me, but I swear on everything, I really was going to be professional. Like, I've always been professional. And that's what I was even telling my probation officer, even in that phone call, because I was saying, like, I don't see how these type of allegations are even possible. When I was in there, it's not like I was doing craziness. I was taking horticulture. I was taking productive citizens. I was in reentry. And then I was in the program, the most prestigious program in the penitentiary system. And I graduated. I'm like one of the only gay people who have ever even graduated this program. And it's been in existence since 1996. Like, I just don't get it. It's like, where do you get off feeling like I'm just the most devious person? And then since I got out, what is the first thing I did? I've been trying to build up a brand. I opened up a business. I've been trying to invest in stocks, and I hold down a job and hold down somebody who is in prison. That should be celebrated, not like investigated. You know what I'm saying? People need help, but in prison, they actually want prisoners to be cut off from outside resources because they know how corrupt it is in there. They know the shady shit that they be doing in there. 9 times out of 10, the administration is worse, just as shady, corrupt, evil, malicious, like mischievous as any of the inmates. They kind of have to be. If you're in charge of watching somebody who you know has criminal behavior, criminal minds, and you want to be a step ahead of them, then you have to adopt criminal behaviors as well. Like, seriously. And they learn how to get away with things too. They learn how to get over with different things too. Like, some of them go into it with intentions, bad intentions of, just getting off their, I don't know, their rocks off on like these helpless people that are just nothings, the dogs of society, the forgotten, worthless people of society. It's like there's some evil, nasty, vicious, disgusting people in prison, and they are working for the prison. Okay? Like, it's just what it is. But that's that, and I have no regrets about posting this video. I hope you subscribe and you have a nice day. And I just pray to God that nothing happens to Cam. Like, I really worry every day that something terrible will happen, because it does happen. It does happen. You have people that get killed in prison and there's no explanations as to what happened. You have people that they just stop hearing from somebody in there and you just don't know what happened. And I could see that happening with Cam. They have been after him since before I left. There was a CO that was gunning for him then, but I felt like it was my fault because I knew that the CO had liked me because of me flirting with him. And I went and spoke to the unit manager, and she made it so that way that CO couldn't come to this building anymore. But there was people that used to be gunning for Cam. Some of y'all subscribers be gunning for Cam. Like, it's like everybody just hates Cam. And I'm like the only person that really sees the gem underneath the garbage. Like, there's a lot of garbage on the exterior, but there is just a shining diamond underneath it all. And it just sucks that not too many people get to see it. And that's why I just try to just keep hold of it and protect it. But I am definitely worried for him. I just want him to be able to do his time peacefully and get out and have another chance at life. Is that so terrible? When this man has had an awful life. I think the best year, literally, of his life, not to sound so cocky, but was that year and a half that we were in the cell together. And I think that's why he hangs on to me so tightly. Y'all think that he hangs on to me now for money. Cam was hanging on to me when we were in the cell. The same way he fights for me now, he fought, or for us, not for me, but for us. He fought the same. All right, y'all, but this thing is cutting off. So I guess I've been up here for too long, y'all. I mean, I just had to get all of that out, but the same way that he fights and fights and fights. He fought then. And I believe it's because he's had a terrible life, and I've really tried to give him a better one. And that's what he hangs on to more than anything. But even if he gets out, and I mean it, even if he gets out and we're not together, like he dates another guy, or he actually does get with a woman. There's a lot of guys like that. Like there's a lot of guys that they're in prison and they're with queens, and then they get out of prison and then they're with women. There was a queen that I met that was with a guy for 13 years in prison, and he got out. But this is the thing that's so amazing. He got out and he did get with a woman, and he got married to this woman. When I met this queen, it was 5 years later from when he got out, but he still stayed in contact with this queen. He told me that she called him home, every day, and sometimes the wife would even pick up, and he'd be like, "Girl, let me talk to your husband," but like they still were friends, and that's what I think with Cam. Cam hates when I talk like this, by the way. He hates when I talk like this. Like, as far as Cam goes, and as far as I know, and as far as I believe, Cam and we will be together forever, hopefully. But if not, I mean, I believe in the classic expression, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Who am I to know what it is? There was a time I thought the reason we came into each other's life was just for my time in prison. Like, he did help me get out of prison. I don't know if I would have survived without Cam. That's just facts. And there's plenty of people that I met in there where during their time in there, they got hemmed up in some craziness and got issued out more time, got sent to higher levels. And some of the guys, even with me not even doing anything, some of the guys that I would get with, I was scared that they would do something just to keep me there. Like, for example, Boss, my prison sugar daddy I talk about all the time, and I've mentioned so many times that I was scared of his power because of him retaliating when he got angry with me or something. But a real, truthful, real fact that I was honestly scared to God of was how intense his feelings were for me when it wasn't meant to be like that. And then the more that I even was telling him, it's like, this is not what this is. You're just my friend. We're just friends. I don't feel the same way, and the more that he would try to make me feel the same way, the more that I got scared, because I knew that he knew I was short time. And he was the type of person where the powers that be would suddenly have something that happens and I get caught with it, and I'm getting issued out more time, and it's like he's just my support system, like the shoulder that I'm crying on, when meanwhile he was the one who was behind it. Like, he was that type of dude. Like, he really I would not have been surprised if something like that had happened, but being with Cam, I was able to be safe. I was able to be sheltered, I guess you could say, and I was able to get out. And for a while, I thought maybe that might be, the reason. But then as time has gone on and there's more that goes on, I mean, I don't know. If we're meant to be, we're meant to be. But truthfully, I would consider myself as like a purpose well served if I'm just able to be with him during this time, keep him, safe and well as best as I can, because I mean, there's only so much I can do. It's really crazy how they've came at him so much, like endless, one thing after another. Even if you go back through my videos and you like look up all Cam videos, like Cam prison videos or something, and you see the videos that I've made, you will see it goes back like all these different things, all these, but if he gets out and he does end up like moving on with his life, I would be very happy for him. All I would ask is that he just don't get into any more trouble. Like, please go and live a normal life. Either with me or with somebody else. But it's like, finally, this is your chance. It's just such a sad situation. But I just wanted to speak on it because I've been holding it in for so long. And there's a lot of stuff like this that I've been holding in that you guys just don't know. And that's why when that video came out that I made, that's why it was so much pain coming through, because I thought that I had just been pulled the rug out from underneath me. But I should have waited to talk to him first, you know? And definitely, you know, we went through it. We definitely went through it because I didn't believe a lot of things that he said. But as time has gone on and the conversations have been able to be a truthful discussion and not an argument, I've been able to understand more about what his side of things. And then also the people that are close to him in his life have helped me understand more about him in general. He has a woman from the neighborhood that he grew up that has been by his side since he's been locked up, all 14 years of it. 15, I think we're going on. She's been there the entire time. And she even explained to me some things. His adopted brother, he explained some things to me. You know, it's like, it's just, what it boils down to is I get disappointed that you guys clearly have been able to have understanding for me. I'm talking about some crazy stuff up here about being a queen and, you know, things that I've done in prison that I'm not proud of, even the fact of how I got locked up and stuff like that. And it's like, you have understanding for me, you know, you have compassion for me, but then it's like, there's not very much, and not all of you, there's a lot of you, just to just say, there's a lot of you guys that are very compassionate and very understanding, and you wait before you are so quick to give an opinion, especially when I'm giving you limited information. There's a lot of information as it pertains to Cam that has never been talked about, ever, you know, and you recognize that, and I appreciate it. I appreciate those of you that are like that, and I appreciate those of you that give the benefit of the doubt every time, whether I'm saying something bad or something, you know, good like this. I appreciate those of you that are supportive every time that I post a video about Cam posts something, you know, those of you that actually have been supportive. I want to make sure to say that, like, you're not missed, like, or not seen. You are seen, you are appreciated, and I am so thankful. Like, you know, I'm just very thankful. But for others of you that just judge so, you know, harshly, it really disappoints me is how I be feeling. It don't really hurt my feelings because I'm so used to, you know, hate, I guess you could say. And it's not necessarily hate, but judgment. That's what I'm used to. I'm used to judgment. I'm used to, like, people snap judging me because of my look, because of my attitude, because of my voice, because of my sexual orientation, my race, whatever. I'm used to being judged. Cam's used to being judged. But it disappoints me because I just expect more from the type of people I'm clearly attracting. Like, y'all have gravitated to this channel, the freaking train. Y'all have gravitated to this channel. So there's obviously something special about each and every one of you that you're connecting with me, you know? And the content that I'm putting out here is very unique type of content. Like, you know, not super unique, but, you know, it's different. I'm different, you know? So I just want a little bit more understanding and patience as it relates to Cam, because number one, that's what I'm giving, because I know about, you know, just the life that he's lived. It has nothing to do about his childhood, his background. It's the life, the entire life that he has lived. And he does work to change it. He has changed a lot since I met him. And then even like recent time, as time continues to go on, he is always changing. Like, and it's because he's trying. He's really trying. That's not an easy thing to do, you know? So it's like, it's not really on you, but it's on me to have more patience and understanding. And I'm not perfect, you know? But, so yeah, I guess I'm done. I've talked for long enough, and I appreciate any of you that have hung in this long, because this is certainly like one of the longest videos that I've posted in a while, especially. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.